Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Friday, March 10, 2023. Starting this September, beneficiaries of the Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, no longer need guarantors to apply to the Students' Loan Bureau, SLB. Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, announced the policy change as he opened the budget debate on Tuesday.
In addition, we'll waive the application fee for students from PATH households. Madam Speaker, we are preserving, maintaining, increasing and sharing the gains of economic reform and economic recovery.
This allowance for PATH beneficiaries follows the successful implementation of a no-guarantor policy for wards of the state. Minister Clark says with its introduction, the Students' Loan Bureau is now receiving 98 applications from that category, up from 46 the previous year. In addition to extending the policy to PATH beneficiaries, the SLB will also be providing grant support to students on the program.
For the 2023-24 year, students from PATH households or from households with income less than 1.5 million, the Student Loan Bureau plans to make an additional 4,200 non-refundable grants of $60,000.
Highlighting the continued improvements in operations at the SLB, Minister Clark says a new loan management system, which was launched in June 2022, will be fully implemented during the 2023-2024 fiscal year. It involves online loan repayment, balance queries, and loan statements. Government will be providing full tuition scholarships for 1,250 STEM teachers over the next 5 years. 250 scholarships will be awarded to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM teachers each year. According to Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark, this move is to increase the teacher training intake. Dr. Clark points out that a recent project with the Education Ministry shows that teacher training intake in STEM subjects would increase by 100% if scholarships and other incentives were offered. He says what pertains is that only a small fraction of the 15% of CSEC students who sit STEM subjects qualify to enter teacher training.
In response to that need, Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Finance, through the Student Loan Bureau, in support of this government effort, will partner with the Jamaica University College, the oldest teacher training college in the Western Hemisphere, to provide full tuition scholarships to 1,250 STEM teachers over the next 5 years.
Minister Clark says this will ensure that there are sufficiently qualified teachers to fill existing gaps in high schools and drive STEM transformation. Scholarship recipients will be bonded to the government to discourage exit from the classrooms and will repay the bonds if their service contracts are broken. Government will be establishing a $1 billion Jamaica Screen Fund to provide financing for the development and production of film and television shows in the country. As he opened the 2023-2024 budget debate on Tuesday, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said the money would be provided over 2 years, with $500 million in the new fiscal year. The fund is to enable creatives to devote time and sweat equity into developing their projects to the point where they can receive financing. It will also support the production of films by providing a defined percentage of the production costs, with a maximum contribution for local productions and other percentages and thresholds for foreign films being shot in Jamaica, once certain criteria are met. Minister Clark says it marks government's continued support for the growth of the local film, television, and animation industry.
Hundreds of persons can be employed in a single production, sometimes for months. In addition, the production of film and television generates indirect and spin-off economic activity.
The Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill, will be responsible for governance arrangements. He will publish the rules of the Jamaica Screen Fund along with guidance on how to access grants and financing, inclusive of what is expected of writers, creatives, and production companies that receive support. But Dr. Clark says the fund will remain with the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to be drawn down in tranches once the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce approves eligible projects that have completed and fulfilled the application requirements. The Drought Management Committee, a subcommittee of the Integrated Water Resources Management Council, now convenes weekly following a directive from Prime Minister Andrew Holness given the intensification of the meteorological drought impacting Jamaica. The committee has announced a multi-stakeholder approach to mitigate the effects of the drought, which includes the $100 million recently announced by the Prime Minister for trucking water into mostly rural areas that are in dire need. Other immediate measures were summarized by the National Water Commission, NWC, during this week's meeting of the committee, chaired by Minister without Portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator Matthew Samuda. The measures include the Met Service guiding the NWC in the trucking of water to the most affected areas. Right now, the targeted areas include Eastern St. Thomas, sections of Portland and St. Mary, with other parishes also on the agenda. The Jamaica Constabulary Force will receive the schedule for the trucking of water to ensure the delivery is done in a safe environment. In addition, 1,400-gallon black tanks will be provided for the worst affected areas, particularly those where storage is inadequate. The NWC will also continue to regulate water supply to customers on a 12-hour supply modality. Another measure entails the transfer of water from St. Catherine to assist with the supply in Kingston and St. Andrew. The NWC is giving assurance that this measure will be undertaken without creating any undue disadvantage for the residents of St. Catherine. The forecast from the Meteorological Service of Jamaica indicates that rainfall is expected to be below normal to near normal across the island for the remainder of the dry season and ahead of the transition to the early wet season. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries is accelerating the implementation of its drought mitigation program to lessen the impact on farmers. Portfolio Minister Pernell Charles Jr. says another $110 million will be pumped into the ongoing activities, bringing the total program support to approximately $202 million.
Rather than NIC and other agencies, AIC and others, we continue to provide trucking of water to several drought-affected areas and farming communities, valued at over $25 million, and this is provided to farmers free of cost, and we intend to increase the reach by 100% in the coming days.
Minister Charles Jr. reveals that the National Irrigation Commission, NIC, will also acquire an additional 4,000-gallon water truck by mid-March to assist the most vulnerable farming communities.
We've also been supporting and will expand further the construction of our micro dams. 10 have been built, 3 more being built, and 2 more to come through the Hills to Oceans program.
He was speaking at a press conference held earlier this week at the ministry's Hope Gardens headquarters in Kingston. And finally, the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, JCDC's National Festival of the Performing Arts, is in its second round of competition, the Parish Finals. The 2023 National Festival of the Performing Arts competition began on Wednesday, March 1 and will continue until Friday, March 24. Parish champions will be crowned across the island as finalists compete in the areas of dance, drama, music, speech, and traditional folk forms. The competition is a staple on the JCDC's annual calendar, which provides cultural opportunities that benefit many Jamaicans through training, exposure, and recognition. Acting Director of Marketing and Public Relations at the JCDC, Michelle Narising, says the festival is open to everyone. She adds that the Commission is pleased to return to full face-to-face parish finals since the pandemic and has seen over 6,000 entries. The detailed schedule of the parish finals may be accessed on the JCDC's website, jcdc.gov.jm. Participants can also contact the JCDC head office at 3 to 5 Phoenix Avenue, Kingston 10, or any of the Commission's offices across the island. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.